let's say I do have the arm here and I start going for the Kotogaeshi, and as soon as I start going, my opponent grabs the shoulder, but he wraps around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. So there's issues like that. Or Hapkido is very postured, especially when we have to apply a lot of these Aiki principles. We're always postured standing up when we're doing it. So how can we still apply a technique if maybe, let's say for Nikkyo, I'm like right here and I'm postured? Could I still be able to have that principle if I didn't have the leverage and I'm here and someone grabbed my neck down?
No.
Let's say as I'm, so then it has to
you
change
wouldn't.
to something else.
Absolutely. So I was just talking to Don about this last night. When you're grappling, let's say we're doing like a typical jacket wrestling or even any type of clinch like this. When you want to do locks on somebody, and I don't even just mean Aiki locks, any jiu-jitsu locks, there's two things you can do. One is the misleading and deception. So let's say I'm going for this and you're not letting me have it. I'm going and you don't want it. And then while you're doing that so much, I'll come and I'll take this. Right? So it's just a distraction and you flow from one to another when it doesn't work. The other is kazushi. If I can uproot someone and have their balance off, then as long as their balance is off, the lock will work. If we can have somebody who is teetering on the edge of balance and they don't have stability, you'll find any lock that works on them because they don't have a root to resist it. So two things to do is to flow from one technique to another and to uproot. And uprooting is really the basis of all stand-up grappling.
So what do you mean by uprooting?
I mean kazushi, just like in judo.
Getting balance off.
Yep.
Okay. For a lot of Hapkido techniques, can you be in situations where you're not completely postured, where you're in more of a wrestling position? Or is it fundamental to make the technique work?
Well, yes. In fact, like with the upsurgence of interest in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and wrist locks, they're finding wrist locks on the ground, and they can make them
like
work
the chicken wing
because they're bracing the back, right? So something that if you were standing where you don't have a brace on the back, in a certain posture wouldn't work. On the ground it can, because they can find the different ways, to have it be braced against the uniform or something and to make it work.
Yeah.
Right? So on the ground for sure, because you always have the ground supporting you. When you're standing, so let's say you were asking about a Nikkyo, which works great here.
Yes.
But if it were down here, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, or a situation like I had a collar tie, and then your neck's already down.
Yeah.
So that Nikkyo, the leverage is different, right?
I can't really do a Nikkyo on when you have a collar tie, because I don't have enough exertion. So this is not what I would go to. Oh, you were asking about a Kotegaeshi too, where they throw their arm around? Yeah. Now the way I teach this is if you are going to apply a Kotegaeshi, you can't step in the midst of doing the Kotegaeshi. Like for example, I can't do my Kotegaeshi and then step in, because now the technique's over. Like I still have the lock, but you have me and you're not going anywhere. And you're going to adjust, and we're just, even if I counter adjust, we're still just struggling, and that's not a clean technique. So you learned at the beginning, definitely, that if you are going to do a Kotegaeshi, you have to turn as far as you can with the wrist and body first, and then when you step, you add to it so that they never get the chance to throw their body. So that is a question of posture, too. The posture is so good that you're not able to throw your arm around me. Of course, you can't always get to that, right? So it's just a matter of understanding the body. Nikkyo works here when it's above the dantian. When it's below the dantian, it can work, but then I need to shift up to the higher joint, right? At any rate, if you have a tie on me though, this isn't a time for those kind of wrist locks. The free wrist locks that we do, the sankyo, the Nikkyo, the Ikkyo, they require me to have a free action on you with the ground. Remember before we were just talking about how I want to spiral and lock all these joints to the ground? Well, that means I'm using the ground, but it's here in the ground, right? The moment you put your hand on me, I no longer have a direct tie to the ground. You do. This goes from your hand into the ground. So you're the one in charge. I can't lock you when you have the dominant position. So I have to act on the tie, or I have to act to gain my balance back from you. I cannot do it when you have the control. And a simple tie grants you that.
Yeah,